some of the most successful people in business, some of the wealthiest people in the world made most of their wealth during economic uncertainty. What is your advice when people come to you and say, hey, Jack, how do I use what's going on in the world to my advantage and come out of COVID even stronger than before we went into it?
The answer is be quick on your feet, right? Any entrepreneur or business that's quick on their feet, when there's a tectonic shift in the entire landscape, therefore everybody in your industry and everybody in most other industries are affected to a similar degree. It's those that are quick on their feet that will naturally come out ahead, because all you're doing in business is competing with other businesses and competing for a certain amount of attention and a certain amount of, addressable market. And so when there's a tectonic shift, those who are quick on their feet will naturally only benefit from the tectonic shift. The first thing to realize is that not all businesses are affected equally. So while we're all in the same economy, businesses are affected differently, right? And so when COVID started to hit, I was kind of sitting in our boardroom back at our last office, and I was thinking about how different business owners are going to be affected. And I came up with 4 categories, right? And so category 1 is the business is distressed, meaning it is fighting for survival. It's a restaurant. It's a gym, in the case of the COVID restriction. It's literally fighting for survival. Category 2 is challenged. So there's been a decline in sales. There's been an increase in customer attrition. However, if we manage it well, we shouldn't be having an existential threat. We shouldn't be fighting for survival. Category 3 is we're doing well. There's actually been an uplift as a result of what's going on. You own a bottle shop or whatever the case may be. In lockdown, people are heading to the bottle shop more often, so you're actually doing well. And then category 4 is booming, right? You sell hand sanitizer. We've got one of our Accelerate members here at the Entourage, and that business really successfully sells homeschooling curriculums, not just for parents, but also for schools at large. And so whenever nobody could go to school, we experienced a 4x of revenue in that particular business. Or you sell hand sanitizer, right? You'd be in category 4. And so it's really important to understand where you are. Are you currently in a position where you're distressed? Are you currently in a position where you're challenged? Are you currently in a position where you're doing well? Or are you currently in a position where you're booming? And if you're in category 1 or 2, meaning you've seen a decline, it's critical that we come back to the drawing board and pivot to the degree that we need to, right? And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. We've got one member in our Elevate program here at the Entourage. So our Elevate program helps 7-figure business owners scale to 8 figures. Aqua gardening, they were doing, so they sell gardening supplies from a bricks and mortar location. And Sharon Fast is the founder and CEO of that company. She is a rock star entrepreneur, has become a close friend of everybody here at the Entourage. And for many, many years, she's been thinking about taking her business online. But the bricks and mortar it's the bread and butter. And so to get enough time or bandwidth or even courage to make that jump has been a multi-year conversation, between us. And so COVID hit, she had no choice. She had to pivot online. She had to pivot her shop staff to now being on the phone and online customer service staff. She had to pivot some of her product offering. And in doing so, in the month of April, which should have been her worst month ever, it in fact could have killed her if we didn't lean into the pivot to the degree that we did. In April, which should have been the month that killed her, she 3x'd her revenue. So rather than doing 150K that month, we did 450K that month. And those revenues have continued. And so if you're in category 1 or 2, it's about how do we pivot to such a degree to actually get you into category 3 and 4. And if you're in category 3 or 4, i.e. you've experienced an uplift as a result of everything that's going on, well, then let's make sure that the momentum you're currently experiencing is not only predicated on what's going on with COVID and restrictions on the planet right now, but some of this increased demand, we can actually lock in these gains so that the trend continues even when the world starts to go back to something resembling some normality. And so by and large, whether you've been adversely affected or positively affected by COVID, no business should be operating the same way you were 6 months ago. If you've been in decline, we need some pivots, and it might not necessarily be pivots in product or services. It might just be pivots in marketing and sales, but we need to pivot. If you're doing better, we need to lock in those gains so that the momentum continues beyond the current period that we're in. And so those that win, and believe me, when I say win, I mean win big. Like I could give you an example after example, and I'm more than happy to go into more examples if it's going to be useful. I'll give you example after example of our members right now that are having their best months ever when they should have been in category 1. So those that are quick on their feet will win.
Because what I'm hearing is your competitors, they may be in category 1, category 2, and if you manage to shift into you're doing well or you're booming, there's less competition, therefore you gain incredible market share. I mean, 3x is incredible. Incredible.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's what I mean by when there's a tectonic shift, that everybody is experiencing that, right? And so if you're quick on your feet and you make a move that might otherwise generate you a 20% uplift, well, in a market where everybody is experiencing 100% decline, that 20% uplift might actually become a 300% uplift, like what we saw with Aqua Garden